it was a gun.
I'm not voting.
If we want to build our nation.
The problem with the Somalians.
Just want to experience something else than a black man.
Move on, move
Don't be like a horse with blinkers on.
Honestly say, I was about to have sex and then I pulled
crap,
up.
but it's nice.
Viva the Right2Know, viva! Viva! This is not the way for future generations to remember. What have you got? The Right2Know! Democracy of our nation is at risk.
The bill is one step closer to being passed into law.
Okay, my name is Kaya. Surname is Kondolo from Kailicha. I'm the member of the organization called Mandela Park Backyarders.
My name is Alison. I'm with the Open Democracy Advice Centre, and I'm a member of the National Working Group for the Right2Know campaign.
My name is Nokwanda Maggie from Langa, under Western Cape Backyarders Network, also part of R2K.
My name is Michael Moss. I'm a student at the University of Cape Town who's been involved in leadership structures there.
Nkwame Cetile, the Western Cape Right2Know organizer.
The Secrecy Bill is an attempt to replace the Protection of Information Act, which is a 1982 apartheid law. The intention is to introduce what in other countries they call an Official Secrets Act. So it's a way of repealing the 1982 law and introducing a new law that would deal with the classification of state information.
We realize that the state has the right to some form of secrecy, but anything that seems to threaten the right to promotion of access to Information Act is a threat to our democratic right that we have won very, very hard and difficult. And so as long as the bill threatens the right to access to information on housing, on service delivery, if this threatens that right, then we would definitely see it as a way of blocking and censoring communities. We have seen in the past how whistleblowers have been harassed. We have seen in the past how journalists have been harassed. The typical example would be that of Mzilika's Africa, you know, when they were investigating something, they were harassed and not the perpetrators. And so, yeah, in a way, it is an attempt to silence the people's voices.
It's very sensitive, and it's an issue which is affecting mostly the community, our communities, because most of our people, they're not quite clear with this which is happening with the government. For me, it takes us way back to apartheid system, which is, we voted for these people who are just enjoying for themselves there. It's really very hurting for our poor communities.
One of the areas that we've tried to strengthen as this sort of organization called Students Against Secrecy, an effective proxy of Right2Know, is to try and educate the average apathetic upper middle class student about these issues, and kind of try to explain to them that the buffers of class privilege and class location in fact will be penetrated by the weakening of democracy through passing legislation like this.
Should this bill be passed, it's going to make it difficult for us to ask questions like, who issued the order for people to be shot at Marikana, you know? How is it that in a democracy that farm workers are paid 70 rand a day? You know, 70 rand is equal to a sack of maize meal. That is present-day slavery, that a person will be paid a sack of maize meal, you know? And so we want to ask hard question, you know? How is it that 18 years down the line, we are a #1 unequal society in the world, you know? Whereas we are one of the countries that have so much wealth, the mineral resources that are in the country make it very difficult for us to understand as to why do we have so much inequality, and yet we are so rich as a country.
Even at SABC, it is government employing the CEO, the media, and they make sure that the TV is showing what they want to be shown. For example, in Marikana, it was seen as if the people were coming to the police, not showing that there were police behind who were chasing the people and shooting them and using horses. So in that case, they are doing everything that favor them, and the media is not free in South Africa.
The most obvious one is the case of Roberta Nation, who blew the whistle on corruption in the medical aid in the State Security Agency. And she has been fired. She has been dismissed. And I think that that's something that R2K has recognized, is that whistleblowers are critical to this whole concept of transparency. It's one of the issues that came up in the Secrecy Bill. How do we protect the whistleblowers? But we've realized that it's not just in the Secrecy Bill. Whistleblowers are being assassinated.
When the bill passed, that's when the working class people are gonna see that even the information that had is classified, because they are not clear which is classified information or not. If the bill passed and found out you've got this information and being arrested, that's when people are gonna stand up and say, oh, I wasn't supposed to expose someone doing the wrong thing. That's when the people are gonna stand up.
Even with this secrecy bill, the people who are going to arrest people, they don't even know what's happening, because they were not even, only certain people, they know what is this secrecy bill. Even if they find you with maybe not with the classified information, they don't know what is this classified information themselves.
In our community, we wanted to clear about the housing waiting list and the criteria that they are using to build houses for the people, but that thing there, they didn't clarify to the people. I think that is where it's going to affect the communities on the ground.
Exactly, with the waiting list. If it was for the democracy, they should have given, not to keep the housing list with them. They should give it to the people so that you go to the municipal offices and you check where your name lies on the list. Those things are still hidden, but they call this country as a democratic country.
They are putting the big words that people don't understand in this bill when they are addressing the issues that need to be classified and not. They are putting the words that you found out people on the ground won't understand about this bill.
You would ask who approved a certain project and who was part of that meeting. And you would think that they will give you a paragraph, or a one-page response to that. And what they do, thick documents, 10,000 pages, that is even written in legal terms and project management terms that one would find it very difficult to unpack. And so even though the current legislation enable us to access information, that information which we get is difficult for us to understand. Now, how much more when the Secrecy Bill is passed? How much more difficult is it going to be to access the simplest of information for our community issues?
If we want to expose something that is done by the police or the councillor, the media will say, I'm fear of my life or my job will be in danger. So it's becoming difficult even within the media to expose what is wrong that is done by the people within the...
Another example around the issue of mistrust within the judicial system and the police is that when a perceived criminal is arrested, and yet the following day that person will be seen in the streets, which has led to people neglecting the so-called criminals on the streets. That, to me, is a clear indication that people have lost confidence within the police system.
Where the trust started before, it started with our president. He did something, and after that he was not arrested. It was just a normal thing. So, but there's a lot of prisoners who raped, and then they are sentenced, but for him. So the lack of trust, even the police, they do whatever they want to do. It's a free country, they say so. So our people, it's, how can I put it? They suffer a lot because even those people, the SAPS department, they corrupt everywhere. Everybody is corrupt within this country because our president was not an example.
There was a research, I think last year, that indicated that 60% of South Africans know about the Secrecy Bill and 40% do not. And out of the NCOP process that Kaya spoke about, it is clear that those that know about it is as a result of the noise that we've been making as the right to know, So we have some major victories, We have pushed the boundaries, way far than what we have expected.
I think that there must be a realization that you can't just introduce a really, really bad law and expect people to stand back and go, well, we don't know about Parliament, we don't know about law, we can't deal with this. It's actually not true.
As the Right2Know and other partners, we have managed to hold the Secrecy Bill discussion back up to where it is today, you know, even though it might be seen as a defeat that the NCOP is going to pass it to another level of engagement. We have managed to hold it back for the last 2 years. You know, when we started, we thought it's going to be a 3-month process and so forth, and it's going to be over. But look at where we are today, you know, and we're saying that the struggle is way beyond just the Secrecy Bill. It's bigger than that. It affects.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, Kwame is absolutely right. We need to remember that when this bill started off, it was a clear piece of draconian legislation which allowed any government department, from the presidency down to the Natal Sharks board, to classify information. So there have been victories on it. I just don't think they're sufficient, and the battle is won.
My comrades here have spoken a little bit about what the public interest is. It's something that I think is obvious in communities who don't have access to information. So even without this bill, we're in trouble because people are not getting the information and interaction that they need from their local governments.
I think by the year 2013, all the prisons will be full. Because they will be full. There will be no space. They kept on complaining about the prisons are full. They're going to arrest people just with information. What is information? People must know so that all the prisons will be full because we're still going on with this campaign. Yeah. We won't stop.
If you have a media that really relies on the middle class buying the newspaper or being interested in the advertising, then there are a whole lot of stories that don't get told. And where do we have the space to tell those stories? So I think we've found a whole lot of common ground on a lot of issues around information, and the information that people need and they're not getting. And I think we're talking more and more about how to use the campaign to drive people's struggles for information. So the Secrecy Bill becomes one part of how do we work at getting an open and transparent society? How do we challenge the Key Points Act? You know, how do we make sure that we can get the information on Nkandla, that it's not even a debate, that it should already be out there without even needing to discuss it. So I think these are all the issues that have now, are energizing us and bringing us together as a campaign.
The fact that they want to rush and push this bill through seems like they want to present the ANC with the Secrecy Bill before Mangaung.
They don't want to hear from the view of the people. They want to pass it as they are the ANC, their ruling party. Their intention is to do what they like, not to listen to the views of the people.
In the past, I mean, the very same ANC, was for an open media, an open, unrestricted press. Now it is the very same ANC that is now coming up with the Secrecy Bill that threatens the very press that they were campaigning for to be open, So for me, I guess this is a direct threat to the democracy that we have fought very hard in.
The Secrecy Bill will remain a live issue until what we have identified has been resolved. But it seems to me that we are recognizing that it's part of a broader campaign that we're going to have to take forward, which is around the right to know.
When they pass the bill, that is when the real struggle begins. We should go out in streets with classified information. This is classified, arrest us.
My dream is to see everything transparent in this country. Whatever I want to know from the government, I must know.
I would really like to see the campaign and the coalitions and the interactions go on from strength to strength.
My dream is for inequality to end.
My dream is to strive and help participate in the rebuilding of civil society in South Africa to create an inclusive and accountable democracy.
I'll fight for the rights until the truth has been set free. I will still go on with the right to know until Jesus comes back.
You should ever sit and talk with people, or else take a walk and create a straight talk. Talk what is nice, it will make you feel stronger. Listen what is right and say what is wrong. You should ever sit and talk with people, or else take a walk and create a straight talk. Talk what is nice, it will make you feel stronger. Listen what is right and say what is wrong.